Chapter 3. Terrible Lizards. The entire landscape had changed. Behind them, the cave itself was the same, but the shale hillock was now much steeper and surrounded by more rocky hills. As the knights descended, they entered a forest unlike any they had ever seen. Actually, it resembled all the forests they'd ever seen trying to occupy the same space. It was not an orderly English wood. "Where are the horses?" exclaimed Hector. "The horses? Where is Camelot? Where is England?" Eric's voice rose with each inquiry. "Trickery and illusion," declared Bors. "Mel, my sword." "You all wish you brought your squires into the cave now, eh?" Mel reached into the canvas sack and fetched a fine sword. "I shall explore the perimeter." Bors shut his visor. "Fear me, all who dwell here." Bors did not have a chance to finish his bellow. A tremendous creature burst from the trees and snatched him up in its mighty jaws. The beast lifted Bors 20 feet off the ground and shook him like a puppy's chew toy. Fortunately, Bors' armor held. Sir Eric had seen some surprising things in his day. He'd been ambushed a time or two by barbarians hiding in trees. The Lady of the Lake had waved to him on one occasion, but nothing compared to what he now witnessed. This creature, calling it a lizard was a bit of a stretch, although it was certainly reptilian, had a ridge of spikes that ran along its neck and back. It stood on 2 legs with nasty-looking claws at the end of its long arms. Its jaws held rows of teeth unlike any Eric had ever seen. They crunched into Bors' armor, denting deeper and deeper with each angry chomp. Bors shouted from within the massive monster's jaws, kicking furiously. The Black Knight was the first to remember that they were trained knights and leaped into the fray. A broadsword to the lower leg made the creature toss Bors aside. Sir Eric swung his sword high and aimed for the tail, but the monster was fast for its size. The tail whipped around. Eric attempted to duck, but unfortunately, a knight in armor is not the swiftest fighter. Sturdy, yes. Swift, no. One swat from the tail sent Eric into the air. He landed on Bors. "Get off me, Sir Knight," barked Bors. "My honor has been dented." Eric rolled over and took in the scene. Hector was off to the side, frantically paging through Merlin's book. "Hector, what are you doing? Drop that book and engage," yelled Eric. The Black Knight had been cornered. The creature snapped its jaws. "Ah, here, beast," Bors hollered, scrambling to his feet. The monster spun, sprang into the air, and landed a few feet in front of Bors and Eric. Hector placed the book safely by a rock, drew his sword, and attacked from behind. "Mind the fiery breath," he shouted. "It doesn't need fire," countered Eric. The Black Knight jumped in and stabbed at the monster's leg. It roared and swung around wildly as its thick, scaly tail sweeping across the area and easily knocking all 4 brave knights over like so many bowling pins. They toppled through a thick brush and over a hidden precipice. One by one they tumbled down into a ravine below with a great deal of clang, clang, clanging. The terrible lizard roared from the top of the slope. It looked. It sniffed. It tried to tow over the edge of the ravine, but then it thought better of the idea. With one final thrash of its tail, it was gone. The battle had taken scarcely 5 minutes, but the knight's armor was more dented and scraped than it had been in the past 5 years of daring do. "What in Lancelot's name was that?" yelled Bors. "Definitely not a dragon." Eric rose shakily and removed his helmet. "Clearly not," said Bors. "In all my years I've seen one, well, obviously several dragons, but none that size." "Or shape," said Hector. "Or temperament," added Eric. Mel slid down the hill dragging a sack of weaponry and holding Merlin's book. Hector perked up. "Well done, squire. The book might—" "Hang the book, Hector," Eric said, wiping his sword with his tunic. "It's pretty clear. We have our terrible lizard to slay. Then we find this tyrant king fellow, make him bow to Arthur, and end this wretched spell. We don't need to read about it." "Agreed," said Bors, "and the sooner the better. Squire, I'm in need of a bandage for my arm." Mel looked stricken. I did not bring our supplies, Sir Bors, only the weapons. No matter. Tear me a bandage from your tunic. In addition to this land looking entirely different, we seem to be experiencing the summer months. You will be fine. Perhaps one of these fronds or leaves would do better. They're quite sizable, my lord. I don't want a leaf. I could find some herbs to go with it. A nice salve or natural ointment. I haven't got all day, if you haven't noticed, boy. Your shirt, bandage, now. No, my lord. The knights all turned to stare at the squire. Did you say no? Bor's complexion went from dark to torrential. I'm sorry, sir, I cannot. Mal clutched his tunic as Bors straightened to his full, intimidating height. I'm a girl, Sir Bors. It had been a strange day. All 4 knights would have admitted that. And yet this new revelation was in its way even more startling than the events of the last several minutes. You're a what now? Growled Bors. A female, a girl. A squire still, but a girl squire. Bors strode over to Mel. She quivered, but held her ground. Bors looked at her for a long moment. He opened his mouth to speak. He closed it again. Then Bors turned and walked over to a rock to sit down. That's just wonderful. England is gone. We're facing a monster of epic strength. There's a mysterious tyrant king, and now my squire is a girl. Great. Fantastic. Anyone else here a girl? The question was meant to be rhetorical, but the Black Knight raised a hand.